For my older sister's 3rd birthday, our grandfather gifted her a pink kitchen set. It was 2009, so the toys weren't as sophisticated as they are now. It didn't have running water or change colors, but to me, it was the single greatest invention of humankind. We called it Fern's Restaurant, and the best part, organizing it. Everything had its designated place. The stove, the sink, the utensils, and even the ketchup bottle. We like to separate the food into 2 baskets. The first basket was for the ugly foods, like the broccoli and lettuce, while the second basket was for the pretty foods, like the strawberries and eggs. During our Christmases and birthdays, we would add to our little restaurant. For one of my sister's birthdays, she received a Disney princess tea set, all pink of course, and for one Christmas, I got a toy ice cream cart that finally added a dessert section to our menu. So fast forward from 2009 to a couple weeks ago, my sister is no longer 3, and my cousin was visiting with her 4-year-old daughter. My sister and I tried to connect with her, so we decided to open up our toy drawers for the first time in years. And there it was, the pink kitchen set still perfectly organized just as my sister and I had left it all those years ago. And then it hit me, like Christmas after Christmas, birthday after birthday, we opened our restaurant less and less until we stopped opening it up altogether. When did I close down my restaurant for good? It felt so foreign to see a little girl be a little girl, playing around without caring about grades or deadlines. Well, those carefree days were too quickly replaced by stress-filled ones, and I'd realized how different my life had become. When did my biggest worry stop being about how organized my restaurant was and start being about my future? As students progress through school, the pressure to succeed academically increases exponentially. Coupled with growingly competitive college applications, students now are more overwhelmed than ever. It feels like it's no longer enough to just get good grades or just get high SAT scores. Now, students must ace AP exams or the IGCSEs, accumulate volunteer hours, start a million different clubs, be a part of student governments, excel at sports, music, arts, maybe become a prodigy or start a STEM organization of some kind, and also get certificates, build your portfolio. All of this to become the perfect student, the perfect applicant. But the more that we chase perfection, the more we feel like we're falling short. Despite all of our late nights and intense study sessions, the future remains uncertain. Even if we are the perfect student, participating in every single event to ever exist, there's still probably a student somewhere out there in the world who is more perfect than us, because perfection is an unattainable ideal. While chasing it may provide a brief sense of control, in the end, our inability to reach that perfection can lead to feelings of inadequacy and self-loathe. These feelings cause us to isolate ourselves, creating a sense of disconnect. Disconnect not only with our family members and loved ones, but with ourselves, that grows greater and greater day by day. Our minds start to wander even when we're physically present, and without balancing our ambitions with our family, they're pushed aside and our friendships become strained. And as we slowly lose the things that once brought us joy, we feel alienated from the present and long for the good old days of the past. Consumed by our nostalgia, we begin yearning for simpler times, yearning to go back to times we spent hours sitting on our living room floor playing with our childhood kitchen set instead of feathered to our desks until 1 a.m. in the morning, haunted by the possibilities of failure. It's a vicious cycle of overexertion, demotivation, nostalgic high, and motivation. At first glance, it seems like the cycle of a productive student, a hardworking student. But a closer look reveals that this cycle is unsustainable. Because while nostalgia is bittersweet, it is also temporary. Eventually, there is a not unexpected but very alarming psychological collapse. that can manifest as burnout, depression, and so much more. Mental health crises are becoming more and more common in today's world, especially in youth. According to the World Health Organization, 1 in 8 people, or nearly 1 billion people on this earth, suffers from some form of mental health issue, while for adolescents, it is 1 in 5. On average, there are around 20 people per class in EIS, and according to these figures, at least 4 students per class are suffering from mental health challenges. But in my personal experience, it feels like so much more. Last year, during a class presentation on mental health, I brought up these statistics. And I drew the connection that at least 2 people in that class were struggling with their mental health because there were 16 people. But I couldn't even get through that sentence without myself and a couple of my friends laughing, because we all knew that most of us were going through something. There were definitely more than 2 people struggling in class that day. Another more recent example, because I have plenty, would be last quarter's physics exam. If you didn't already know, Instagram has a note feature where a user can update their mutual followers on their status in 60 characters or less. Well, the night before the physics exam, my friends were posting all kinds of notes. Projectile weapon thrown across the room. What is the tension exerted on the rope that I hang from? What is the final velocity when the car hits me? What is the initial velocity of me jumping off the 5th floor? And my personal favorite, what is the bullet's magnitude when I shoot myself? To us, the sleep-deprived and disillusioned students, these notes were funny. Dark humor was our own messed up way of coping. But looking back from a third-person point of view, it is concerning how agonizing frustration had become so ordinary. It is clear that a significant portion of students are struggling to maintain mental well-being. Prevailing stress, anxiety, and depression attached with the chase for academic perfection allows the pervasive feeling of "I'm not doing enough" to take control. This pushes us beyond our reasonable limits and causes us to overwork ourselves, and for us to spend too much time on academia while too little time on childlike leisure. But the thing about time is, although infinite, our human experience of it is finite. Our time is limited. This reality is reflected in the language that we use to talk about time, paralleling the language that we use to talk about money. Using time, using money, spending time, and spending money. Like money, time is a resource, a valuable and scarce one. To use it is to sacrifice it. As the pressure builds, we push ourselves, depleting our precious resources by sacrificing all of it for the sake of future success, leaving minuscule leftovers for the present. We are living for the future, getting good grades to get into a good university, working hard during university years to secure a high-paying job, working extra hours at that job to climb the corporate ladder, get promoted, and get a raise. But when does it all end? When will our thirst for success finally be satiated? Because by the time we're at a good position at work, over half of our time has been spent with no way to replenish it. Well, the problem with being overly ambitious is missing what we have now in the present. By spending an endless amount of time trying to create the most perfect and successful future versions of ourselves, and briefly enduring it by reminiscing about the past, we leave little room to appreciate what we have now and what exists now. The future remains uncertain, no matter how hard we try to control it. Even if students do the impossible and get the perfect grades and build the perfect portfolio, they might still get rejected from their dream school. If we keep waiting to start living, one day we might wake up and realize that there is no more good old day to look back on. Cherished memories exist because we created them. They were our own lived experiences. I've been comparing time to money, but there's one key difference. Although money can be saved for later, time cannot. Time moves on, and in a heartbeat, I grew from playing with our kitchen set to standing where I am today. At the end of the day, our lives are not solely defined by our level of success, but by the love that we share, memories we create, and the connections that we form. The greatest challenge in life will not be about academia or getting an A on physics, but will be about finding balance between working towards our ambitions and enjoying the present time we have with our loved ones. Thank you.